For me, one of the things I really feel strongly about trying to change, not so much some of the substantive issues, we'll work on that as time goes on, but just sort of the way local government works and reaches out to people. I think it's important that we get more information out to people, that we engage in what I might call town hall meetings that get out of Milford and do it during times that people can attend in the evenings on a sort of a rotating basis in different townships. We can also use technology for that. We can record meetings, we can stream meetings, maybe we can video meetings so that people who can attend can see what's going on. The second thing I feel fairly strongly about is to try to change some of the hiring practices that have been in place for a long time. And these practices weren't invented by the current commissioners. In fact, to some extent, I think they've done at least a beginning job in trying to change some of the practices. But I think we really need to look at hiring on merit and experience and the ability to work hard and not with an emphasis more on party politics. So those are the two areas I'd like to try to do something with right off the bat. In order to try to accomplish some of these things, I think the really thing that I want to work on is to try to work with the commissioners and try to reach common ground. I mean, far too often we see it both at the national level and state level. Everybody sort of backs into their corners, gets entrenched, and won't try to compromise. I think there are compromises that can be reached. I've always felt that compromise isn't a dirty word. In fact, it's a good word, especially in government. It's how things get done. I'm a big fan or proponent of Abraham Lincoln. I study him a lot, and you'll see that that was one of the things he tried to do in a very difficult time. So I think that if we can look for some common ground, if we can't have, let's say, a meeting, if you will, an actual business meeting outside of Milford, we can certainly have a town hall meeting where we will go out, explain what we're doing that month or that week, and just take questions from people. So I think that there are ways to accomplish things without saying, well, this is the way I want it and that's the way it has to be. I think that there are, and you know, I practiced law for 36 years. One of the things you learn is that sometimes you just have to compromise situations so that not both sides may be a little bit unhappy, but you get things done and you accomplish things. And I think that's what I'm going to try to do. On those things that we just simply disagree on and we can't seem to reach some compromise even after trying, that happens. And I have an obligation to state my case, both to the commissioners and more importantly to the public, as to what my position is and why I hold that position. And I won't hesitate to do so. There wasn't anything that I said during the campaign that I said to hear myself speak. These are things I believe in, things I want to try to reach some common ground on, and if I can't, then I will have to state my position in public, either through a vote if it comes to that or otherwise, and certainly won't hesitate to do that. With respect to looking at spending and budgetary issues in general, my concern is really sort of twofold. It's very general, but there are two specific instances that I think we need to keep a close eye on. I think that we are subject to the whim of the federal government in terms of income we receive for the jail for immigration detainees. That income went down substantially in 2014 and in the beginning of 2015. I'm told that it may go back up again. I don't know exactly what kind of arrangement we have with the federal government, but I think we have to look at what are our long-term goals for funding the jail to the tune of anywhere between $11 and $12 million in the past per year, out of a total budget of around 38 or 39 million dollars if we're not going to be guaranteed that income from the federal government. My other concern is, and this is something I have some specific knowledge about, is that there were substantial changes to something called the Child Protective Services Law in the wake of the Penn State scandal. Substantial changes made by the state legislature as it relates to child abuse investigations, what are called mandated reporters, and so forth. And what we're seeing across the state is a very large increase in initial complaints of child abuse that the agencies have to investigate, and it's causing huge problems across the state with children youth services agencies in terms of keeping good people and having the resources to respond to all of these things, which they have to do by law. I think so far in Pike County, my understanding from talking to the agency is that we have been better off than some other counties, but as time goes on, I think that's going to be a real source of problems in terms of additional income resources we're going to need to have to comply with state law. These aren't discretionary things. These were changes passed by the legislature. Most of them took effect in January of 2015 of this year. Some of them are good, some of them I think are overreaching, and they didn't really look in depth as to how counties were going to pay for this. And that's just something to the future we have to look at. Two things that I really am passionate about and have a great deal of concern about are, it's my understanding that we're looking at actually opening a children's advocacy center locally in the near future. And from my perspective as a commissioner, whatever I can do to assist that, I will do. I have a 25-year background in children's services, and I think we have a lot of children in the area for many different reasons who are really in crisis. And I think that center, that something we would have locally would be a great thing and something we really need. The other thing I think we're lagging behind on is local treatment for drug and alcohol issues. We have some treatments providers, but not enough, and most of it is being done by Catholic Social Services, who does a great job, but we really need to expand that, even if we can somehow partner with other counties, whether it be Wayne or Monroe or whoever, for maybe treatment centers and services that both counties can use. I understand that these are funding issues, but these are critical problems to the area. They've been problems for a long time, and I think this is something we really need to be on the cutting edge and out front on. One of the things I really feel strongly about is that it's important as a public official, whether it's me as a commissioner or another public official, that I get out there in the community and talk to people. I've practiced law for 36 years in the area. I've been asked if I was going to give up that practice and be a full-time commissioner, and the answer to that is yes. But I think being a full-time commissioner doesn't necessarily mean, and shouldn't mean, spending your time in the office or going to public functions in terms of, there's going to be legislators there or whatever, those things you have to do. But I think it's important to just go to the breakfasts and go to the roast beef dinners and go to these things that people go to when they're campaigning. Go to them after the campaign is over, all year long. And just sit down with people after they're done with their breakfast and say, hi, I'm a Pike County Commissioner, if you don't know that, and do you have any concerns or questions you want to ask me? I think these kinds of public outreach are probably the most important things we can do. There were issues people raised during the campaign, questions they asked me that I hadn't thought about. I really tried to do my homework and try to figure out what were the most important things going on in the county. But there were things that came up that people asked me out of the blue that perhaps I should have thought about, but I didn't. And those are the kinds of things that are important. Those are the kinds of things you learn by talking to people. I stopped having all the answers a long time ago. If you talk to people from different parts of the county, you're going to learn things. And I think that we really need to emphasize getting out to those areas that feel underrepresented. That certainly, I think, applies to the Bushkill area, to southern Pike County, to maybe some extent in the western part of the county where I live, to different groups, to different minority groups, the LGBT community, all those people who are part of the community who may feel left out, not on purpose, just by the fact that we need to get out there more. And that's really probably the main thing I really want to accomplish.